What's up, guys? So my Macho Dad here, checking back in. And today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about um, canoe trip food and just a couple of real important things to consider overall when you're making your food list. This is not going to be covering any recipes or anything like that, but just a couple of tricks to make sure that this works out for you. So these are kind of building blocks, and then you springboard from these things into building your food list. So the first thing I want to tell you is don't experiment. Don't find a recipe and get all your ingredients and put everything together and put it in a bag and go up into canoe country or in the woods and cook that meal for the first time up there. It's the same thing. If you're cooking a meal for people, or you're cooking a white sauce or something like that in your kitchen, taste it before you serve it to your people. And the same thing, I mean, it's even 10 times more important up there because there's not a grocery store. You can't just order a pizza, you know, if your meal doesn't work out. So test your meal, test the recipe, test the flavor before you go up there. And once you dial in, then you know, you're gonna do a couple things. You're gonna make sure it tastes good. Okay. You're gonna get practice cooking it, going through the steps, which is always a good thing. Especially when you're doing it in a primitive setting. You're going to get your measurements right, okay? And let's be honest, guys, when you're up there in canoe country, let's say you're on a 4-day trip or a 7 or a 10-day trip. It might sound like a lot of days, but the amount of time you're paddling, doing chores, sleeping, all of these things that aren't, you know, the chore, the work side of things, I try and minimize those. I mean, I enjoy the whole process, the whole trip. But if I had a choice, or if it's in my control, which it is, I'm going to try and be efficient at the cooking and the cleaning and the tent setting up and the bear bags and all these things, because I like to explore and fish and do all that stuff. So that's my perspective. So practice makes you more efficient, especially when you're cooking. Okay, I'm going to jump down here to the weight part of this. And still on the same thing of planning. So I bring something like this. We usually go fishing. We fillet fish and we fry them. And this is our fry bot thing. So again, practice what you're cooking before you go up there. So you know what you like. Some guys like to deep fry. Some guys like pan fry. I'm a little bit in between. My rule of thumb is if a fillet is this big, I want to fill this up a third of what I think the fillet size is going to be. It's approximate. Okay. So what I've done, because I know how big this is, and I've taken this and I've poured, and I know how much oil it takes to achieve that. Okay. And let's say I plan on having 4 or 5 fish meals. Well, I can multiply that amount by 4 or 5 meals and figure out how much oil I need to bring. Of course, I'm going to bring a little bit extra. Sometimes things spill, and sometimes depending on what breading you use or flour, it's going to soak up more or less. Again, practice cooking it beforehand so you know how much to bring. Bringing the right amount of oil, that's an art. And you know, this stuff isn't light. This right here weighs about 3 pounds. And so you don't want to come back from a trip with a whole extra bottle of oil, and you also don't want to run out after 2 meals. Okay, that's not a lot of fun. I've done both. Okay, that's why I'm here telling you guys this stuff. So again, the resounding theme is practice. And keeping with the measuring, depending on your ingredients, going on to some of your other ingredients, when I'm thinking about the meals I'm planning, I also think about the order of them. So one of the meals we like to make is called campfire paella. It's delicious. And one of the ingredients is rice. And we're going up here in a little bit with a group of 9 guys, so we need a little bit more rice. So it just made sense to buy this. So the thing that I ask myself before I go on a trip, and it's not just because of weight, but what's the best way to package the rice? Is it better to keep it in this, or to put it in a Ziploc, or put it, shrink wrap it? And really the way I answer that is, what else can I use this for? This plastic container. So I think, if we had, this meal our first night. Now I've got this empty container. This is a fishing trip. We're bringing leeches up. Maybe on my own boat, I go fill up, the leeches from the from the live well, the leech locker, whatever we got. And then I take and I throw some leeches in here for a couple hours. Now this is my leech container for the trip. Okay, then that's good. Okay, we'll bring this container up and we'll eat this the first night. Okay, back to packaging, going a little bit different direction. And glass is not allowed in a lot of places, like, for example, the Boundary Waters. But we drink instant coffee. I love good coffee, but up there, it's the Boundary Waters, so it doesn't matter. So what we'll do is we'll say X amount of guys, for breakfast, everyone's going to have a cup of coffee to get the engine going. And so for each meal, we will package something like this. And we also bring extra coffee. That's something we always bring. We come back with extra coffee because midday coffee, if it's raining, if you're under a you want to bring extra coffee if you're a coffee drinker. It weighs nothing. This weighs nothing. So having extra, that's okay to have too much of coffee, in my opinion. But instant coffee usually comes in glass containers, and that just for weight and for rule following, all that kind of thing. Like, we package it like this, and you cut it open and you finish off this coffee for the meal. And now you don't have any excess. You're not throwing away coffee, So this keeps it light, this keeps it contained, and it keeps it airtight, so it keeps it fresh. So we're thinking about weight. We're thinking about, again, back to this. Can I use it for more than one thing? That's always a good thing when you're out in the woods. And then, yeah, guys, just, practice what you're doing. It helps you on the weight side of things. It helps you on the speed side of things, and your food will taste better. And that's what I've got for today. Catch you later.